I'm gonna call the meeting to order and ask that all rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. I am unfortunately doing double duty until Veronica gets here. She's late tonight for work responsibility. She'll be here in about 15 minutes. So I'm supposed to control that. Bear with me if I'm trying to get to the test, but just so you know. PR is absent tonight. I don't know if he's gonna make it back or not, but otherwise I think we're all present and accounted for. I would like to take a moment for silence to remember two of our town residents who passed away since we were last year at a regular meeting. One was Emmett Bailey, who is an 81-year-old resident of Delphi Falls. A long time resident, worked for James for many years, and will be missed by his family. And the other is, and I'm not going to pronounce his name right, perhaps Joseph Gaeta. I saw Dave. Do you know him?
Joe Gator.
Joe Gaeta, who passed away suddenly, 60 years old, from the preserve recently, just on November 3rd. So if we could have a moment. Thank you, everyone. So. Probably telling you. Well, that's. Okay, so. There are agendas for anyone who didn't get one over on the side table, as well as a sign in for anybody who wants to speak at. So the first item of business on our agenda is the 2024 preliminary budget and trying to get it to a point where we're ready to vote on it. We had the public hearing on October 30th. We closed the public hearings after hearing from the town residents that spoke. And I think we're at the point where we want to consider some post hearing adjustments. Now, I can. Yeah, because I am not going to do well with this. So his budget is on the computer, on the screen up here, but it has to get moved from that screen to that screen first, and then it's under the Excel. I opened it in Excel down on the bottom. There you go. Can you see it? What? Do you want to sit next to Nikki?
Oh, then I. Let's see.
Okay.
This-
Do you want to move the little table so like?
Yeah.
Since we're on the table.
Well, I don't, the mouse isn't really working too well.
The mouse stuff. It's just at the, here, let's just bring this here.
No, that's it.
Oh, all right. What are you laughing
So, trying to get the numbers
at? What?
back here.
Okay, so,
This is gonna bit.
does everyone have do you have your preliminary, did any? Right? No, probably not. I can share.
All right, first thing that we should probably address is mortgage payments. During the tentative and preliminary, we estimate $180,000. If we receive what we received as a first installment, we're gonna be at 162 for this year. 160 might be a little high. I don't know, I don't know what the home sales are gonna look like, mortgage tax is gonna look like for next year, so we might be over estimating here a little bit. We'll only bring in 162 for this year.
So in the day, for all the craziness with the home sales, as a result of COVID, I think the budget for that was about 138. Change, but yeah, 140. So I don't know, 150. I honestly don't know what we should. I don't want to over. Budget to me. Phil, you got any thoughts on that one?
140.
Yeah, I was thinking 40, 150, yeah.
Next item is attorney contractual expense. We were good with $40,000 until some pending litigation came up. So we have to revisit this and see if that's something that we need to increase.
I think we were told that's gonna be about another 20, roughly.
That would be. There's gonna be appeals. I mean, I would say anywhere between 10 and 15 in terms of a 78. Just on the Supreme Court level. I don't know whether there would be an appeal or not, so.
Well, that can be addressed at the point in time when, I mean, we're not even, is there even a court appearance? Is there a court appearance? Is it December?
It's in December, yes. So that. I don't know what you budgeted for this year.
Well, we budgeted based on your
2023.
right, for litigation.
Yeah.
I don't know if we.
I don't think you-
budgeted
I
anything
probably
for
did.
litigation. Well, honestly, because
No, I think that what was budgeted for 23 was just the retainer, right?
Yeah.
so,
At least 15.
I
I
would
think
say
15.
15.
15. So we just added an expense and lost some revenue. Not a good.
Not in the right direction, guys.
Nope.
Central garage contractual expense. Renee and I talked about this today. We've been, I think this is through 8/31, but I think year to date through October 31st might be at 25,000. So 45 might be way high. I think we can go down a touch there.
What's it so far for this year?
We're at about $25,000 year to date.
We're 10 months in. And typically, if you look back over the last 5 years, it's never gone over 40,000. That line. Now, I don't know exactly all of the things that fall into that category. I probably could look it up. I'm sitting here with Williamson in front of me.
35.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, that's helpful.
All right.
35. I increased environmental contractual at the request of was that?
It was Phil George, the
Yes.
UCC chair.
We increased that $400 for Earth Day signs. Leave that up to you if you want to leave that in there. Not a tremendous amount of money.
No, it's not gonna make or break us. Some of these other expenses.
Workers' compensation insurance, we dropped that down $7,000. Chances are it's gonna be much less than that. We've had discussions, or Renee's had discussions with Onondaga County Workers' Compensation Board. That's what it is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're willing to allow us entry into the plan. They're estimating, what did he say,
He
$25,000?
said, we currently have budgeted 37,000 and change, I think, isn't that where it is? And so, He said that, this is Director of Risk Management for the county, and credit to Jim because he was the one that suggested I reach out to them. But he doesn't think with our loss run, history that, or loss history that we would be more than 25,000, and he thinks it's probably significantly less than that in the first year. So that's a great save for, workers' comp.
I left it at 30 just in case. He didn't have a
Right.
concrete number.
We don't have, yeah, he didn't have the information back, but when I reached out to him again today, he did tell me that in an email. That's the email. So I think that it's a no-brainer to switch from Comp Alliance to the county's workers' comp plan, and if we're not looking at more than 25, then that 30,000 is probably even high, but since we don't know.
Good with that.
That's good with 30.
Lastly, in the general fund, I did a little more work on health insurance. Here's where we are through October 31st. We've paid OSEBA 52,000 and change. Excel is 16,000. If the invoices stay the same, which they should for November, December, will be at 61,000, 19,000. OSEBA told us a rate of increase of 7% for the year. Excelis is going to be about 12. So projected for 2024, we're at a total about 87,000. Which is much less than what we had initially budgeted of 108. I think the 108 was just a flat 12% increase over last year's budget. So I didn't bring it all the way down to 87. I wanted to leave a little wiggle room in there.
What is it at? I can't.
I budgeted 95,000
95.
for the final stage here.
Still working in the right direction.
Trying. So that's at 95 from 108.
Correct.
That's done, that's done, that's done. You did litigation. You've got the Pompeo Fire Department and the KVAC numbers now.
Right, so payback came back slightly higher than what we had budgeted, about $689 higher, so not a huge change there. Pompeo Fire down here, their approved was $559,572, so about $6,000 higher than previous.
About 1%.
Yep.
So, is that everything we,
No, we had to talk highway fund.
oh,
One idea that we had was to utilize some of a good chunk of the ARPA money to offset the cost of the plow equipment that we had budgeted for. So we budgeted $215,000. We have way more than $215,000 in ARPA funds available. I have that sheet over there. But if we use the ARPA funds, that's going to drop taxes quite a bit. So if we use $215,000 here, we're looking at
tax decrease?
tax decrease of about 9%.
Where does that leave next year for the highway in that line?
That's the downside. So if we do this year and we keep steady with how we're spending for capital expenditures in the highway fund, it's going to pop back up next year by quite a bit. So if big decrease this year, large pop next year.
Split the difference.
Yeah. That's a superficial thing, right? It's just, it still would seem to me that this is a good thing, a good use of funds. Explain the difference. All you're doing is trying to, you know, lessen a rate of change, but
Right.
if it's a good use of the ARPA funds,
Mhm.
I know from my perspective, I would support it.
I know in talking to BR about this, he's not here, so, but Bill is the highway liaison, but he did tell me just a couple hours ago that he was, oh, thank God she's here, that he was, good with what we were proposing. I mean, originally he was a little worried because what happens if it's basically no money in that line because we'll use ARPA, and then next year, if you have to put 200,000 in there or more,
Yeah, the
It
full blown tax cap on the water next.
The ARPA money still be used next year, it can be,
it
right?
can be, yes, and there's gonna be a balance. There's not gonna be completely,
So if you split the difference, you could use it next year for that line instead of this year.
Well,
There's some of it, right?
well, it is gonna be used next year. You're talking about the budget time next
Yeah.
year for 2025.
I don't know about that, only because we have to,
Have to commit it.
we have to commit use by the end of next
End
year.
of this next year.
We can spend it in 25 and 26. So
So if we committed to that.
Yeah, if you work it into your budget, knowing that you're gonna
Committed to.
use it for an expense. Problem is,
is that now we're using all the money for highway
yeah,
and the water.
and it's gonna run out at some point. And then we're back to reality.
But it keeps the highway.
well, the good thing is that if you ever look back through the years of spending in the town, spending on infrastructure for the highway department was never more than 10 grand, which was absurd. So I mean, it's been so needed to have been bumped up to cover the neglect, but going forward, you know, there needs to be some sort of planning. There needs to be money being put aside each year for knowing that some of these things are gonna, their useful life runs out, but also the longer you keep them, the less they're worth when you trade them in, so. I don't,
How much do we have in there and how much you considering?
If you were to do this, I think there'll be 250,000 left.
Oh, right.
so, and there's infrastructure needs for the town hall that hopefully will get addressed, but they won't be able to get addressed till the spring, so it'll be the next administration that will work on that. But, what was I gonna say? So the tax rate, I'm just trying to read, 250.59, is that what it is this year?
Oh, 259 was this year,
So what will go down to?
235.
235. So I can guarantee you the taxpayers would like that.
Next year. it won't be completely different.
But next year is, who knows, and I'm not looking to, first of all, saddle another administration with what we took office with, which was a deficit, and we won't have a deficit, but it won't be. It'll be difficult, but Bill's sitting here saying we should do it, and I don't mean to like give his opinion any more weight than anybody else's here, but he does happen to be a finance guy.
I'm concerned about the ARPA funds, and if we don't start to allocate those and spend
Then we'll
those,
use-
then we're gonna lose them. And from my perspective, spending them on highway department issues is as responsible a thing as we can come up with in terms of something that benefits everybody equally. So that's my perspective. I understand in terms of how it's viewed, I mean, the tax rates, you know. they may-
Yes,
Yes, if we don't use them.
If it's not completed by 2024, the end of 2024, the feds are saying the money goes away. So what you need to commit, like a contract.
It'd be hard to spend it.
No, but the other thing I was,
But
It's
spend it
committing it next year,
responsibly.
committing it, and then you can spend it through 26.
yeah, that's a good thing for highway because their equipment takes forever to get, even if you order it. It's,
Level it out.
Mhm.
they're still waiting on their sweeper, which apparently is gonna be in this month, I hear. So is this what I've been talking to Jim about this, so I'm sort of familiar, but
One thing that
I don't,
we could do away with using fund balance. We still have $130,000 that we're planning on using. We do that. That kind of keeps it a little bit more level,
it's still,
but that'll keep the tax rate.
Oh, so we
259 to
would-
255. So if we say we're not gonna use any fund balance to balance the budget,
And that money just sits in the account. We're not at risk of losing that money. It just moves
That
forward.
makes sense.
And then that's money that can be used for next year.
Correct.
If there's a expense that is gonna dip, I think that's a great,
I think,
yeah, me too.
I think it's easier for people to say, okay, you know, I mean, not that everybody would love a decrease, but if you have a decrease, then you
A
know.
huge increase.
Big
8-10%, the next year, it's gonna negate any,
That,
you know.
that might help ease the burden for next year if we run into
There'll
problems.
still be an increase, but it won't be, 15-20%.
We don't want that. You wanna,
So I like the idea of not using the fund balance.
I do too.
what I would say.
It needs to be built up anyway. I mean, it's really been,
We chipped away at it pretty good last year.
we had a lot though to use. That was the thing, but then it,
So if we can keep things pretty much flat this year.
Yeah,
and have
we're
it-
going down to 1.25%. So that's good. So we're good with that?
I think I like that.
The only other thing I wanted to bring up, preserve drainage. We have some pending litigation there. We have traditionally always budgeted $20,000. I don't know what the board's thoughts are on keeping it at 20, increasing it.
What do you think?
Fortunately, we have,
Litigation counsel in their own.
Based on what we have viewed and what we have seen. I can't imagine that it's going to be. Where we are actually. Holding back money that I think will be used to. Support the project that has to take place. Will that result in potential litigation? Yeah, maybe, but. 5,000 almost litigation.
No.
So and 20 is for the project or is that for
was for-
That's for just general.
whatever might happen? Yeah, I mean,
Mowing, that kind of stuff.
I don't know what the ongoing maintenance would be out there. That would be better handled by.
I thought we were talking, and I'm nothing now, I'm looking at Dave Angelo. I thought we were talking at the homeowners thinking about possibly having a second phase of work that needs to be done now that the first phase was complete. Because there were 4 areas in that original engineer's report that needed to be addressed. One of them I don't think needs is a cost issue. It's more maintenance, but the other that one up, is it south of up the hill?
Because the stop sign, that one,
Oh, yeah.
I think needs to get piped.
So I mean, I don't know if between what the work would need to be done there and then if there is any litigation, but we do have the money. We held back on paying them a final amount, so.
Are you saying that the 20 might be for the next phase? Or
We didn't want to take it out right now because,
there's needs to be work out there?
yes, and so we thought we would leave it in for one more year perhaps. And then see where everything was at in the preserve and then go from there, but we didn't want to short the preserve on the next phase if it was necessary and. So 20,000 is good? I don't know. Still don't have-
It's in there.
If it's there, don't you use?
You roll it over.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, that's all I had.
Thank goodness. So. Just looking at my notes again. So on balance, we sort of wash
you know, from
with everything
the big-
under this scenario.
Yeah.
And the bright spot is if we did not have all those earnings from night class this year, those interest earnings, we would be in big trouble. They really. We had been averaging like $9,000 a year in interest, and this year we're probably gonna be 10, 11 times that, so.
We'll crack 100,000 probably.
Yes, so. And even with that. It was a
Not
struggle.
easy.
It's a struggle.
I go with this.
Are you good with this?
I'm just the accountant.
Board, is he good with this? Are we good? Okay,
Renee, I'm gonna email this back to myself in your account.
okay. Go right ahead. Go, oh, she's right there. Okay. The other thing, while you're doing that, thinking about is that for several areas in the town, this is a tough year because we've got the fire department looking for money for the project, and we've got the Davies County School District also looking for money for a capital project, so that's been factoring into my thinking that have a hit here. So, okay. Do you have it? Oh, I have. Yeah. Okay, so. Does the board feel like we're ready to vote on this?
I'm happier with it than I was a month ago.
Or even maybe a day ago? So do we vote on these individually,
Well, so. Taking place so far is you've made certain changes to the budget. correct?
Yes.
They were all, everybody understands what those changes are. You can vote on all of those changes as an amendment to the budget first.
I make a motion that we accept all the changes we've just made.
As an amendment to the
As an
tentative budget.
amendment to
No,
the-
not to the
Preliminary.
preliminary budget, I'm sorry, to the preliminary budget.
I'll second it.
okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. So now as amended. The preliminary budget is ready to be voted on.
As the final. budget.
Yes, and then my question comes back to, do we have to do each? Do we have to do general fund, highway fund, fire district, special district, SOTS? Separate. Separate. Yeah.
That's how we've always done it.
Okay. It is. For each of those, yeah, so,
Highway in general, I'll make a motion to approve the general and highway fund. As presented.
in seconds, of any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carried for the 2024 general fund highway. Budget is moved to final.
To approve the fire district's budget. As
Budgets.
presented, plural.
I would second that. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed. That motion is carried, so the fire district budgets for 2024 are now finalized.
Make a motion to approve all the special districts. I don't have to do them all, just all.
As you have them all in front of you.
And SOTS, can we do SOTS with them?
That's a special district.
Yeah. Second,
Second it.
okay, James seconds it. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. So those special district budgets are for 2024 now moved to final. So we have a final 2024 budget. Thank you, everyone. That was. Yes. Okay. Moving on. The next item on the agenda is the Pivot Energy application for Tier 3 solar continues overlay continued proceedings. Board members, and I think it's on the town's webpage. We did get the resolution from the planning board. On approving by a 5-2 vote, recommending this project move forward in terms of like the site plan conditions, and we also got a 2-page recommendation from the Environmental Conservation Commission. That in essence, and I'm gonna summarize it because it's on the website, so you can all see it. In essence, says that many of the concerns they had initially with the first project has been addressed and to their satisfaction with the second project. But they